Please welcome Arianna Huffington.
So it's April 4th, 2007, and I'm on the campus of Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island, with my oldest daughter, Christina. And I'm very tired. It's our 8th day, our 7th campus. It was Yale yesterday, Columbia the day before, Swarthmore the day before that. Fortunately, it's our last day, and it's raining. And the reason I'm so really tired is because just before we left, Christina made a demand, a legitimate demand, but a demand. She said, "Mommy, no Blackberrying on the tour." Now, for those of you under 30, the Blackberry was a phone popular in the early 2000s. It had real buttons that you could type on, and if you swiped the screen, nothing happened. Amazing, really. So there we were on that very rainy day, and like every night before, for the last 7 nights, we would come back to the hotel at about 10 o'clock, she would go to sleep, and I would start working. The Huffington Post was 2 years old, and I, like any 2-year-old, demanded my continuous attention, and I really thought that if I stopped giving it my continuous attention, it would collapse. So there we are on our last day, and I'm kind of dazed. It's like, I feel like it's finals week for me. And fortunately, a third into the tour, Christina turns to me and says, "I'm not going to apply here. Why don't we drop out of the tour and just go get a coffee?" And I feel like I'm getting a jail-free card, like get out of jail free card. And I'm wondering how close is the nearest Starbucks and how quickly can I have my 4th infusion of caffeine for the day? And anyway, the day passes, and she goes back to Los Angeles where we live, and I go to Portland to give a speech and then take a plane to LA, and I arrive really late. And the next morning, I have to get up really early to do reliable sources on CNN. And I have no idea why I said yes. You know, the kind of tired, the kind of feeling of being so exhausted that you don't even remember what not being tired was like. And you don't even remember that no is a full sentence. So you just keep saying yes, and then you wonder, why did you say yes? And why is it like 6 in the morning, and I'm in hair and makeup, and the show ends, and I get back to my home office, and I feel really cold, and I go to get a sweater, and the next thing I know, I wake up in a pool of blood, and I don't know what happened, but suddenly my sister walks in. And my sister Agape is like my protector. You know, she always takes care of me, so I feel it's going to be all right. And then her eyes get really big, and then she faints. So it's now 2 people down and a pool of blood. So it's beginning to look like a crime scene. Fortunately, backup arrives very soon after. It's my daughter, Christina, and her eyes get really big, and I think to myself, oh no, not her too. It's going to begin to be like a reverse clown car. But no, Christina takes charge, and she calls her dad, my ex-husband, Michael, a great thing to do, and Michael arrives, and trusting his own driving, more than he would trust calling an ambulance, that's Michael. He piles Christina and me into his car. Christina keeps holding my hand the whole time. Fade out. I find out that what had happened is I collapsed. And on the way down, hit my head on my desk, broke my cheekbone, and got a deep cut right here under my eyebrow. And so now another tour follows. This time, not a tour of colleges, but a tour of doctors. It's Dr. Bhatia, the cardiologist, and Dr. Shinuzu, the neurologist, and then 5 eye specialists, because my vision is blurry and I keep seeing floaters in my right eye. And on top of it, my one irrational fear, ever since I was a little girl, was that I would go blind. And on top of it, my father did go blind at the end of his life. So as they're trying to determine between echocardiogram and MRIs and blood tests, what's wrong with me? Do I have cancer? Do I have a brain tumor? Do I have a heart disease? I just keep worrying about going blind. And every time one of the eye specialists uses a fuzzy word or sort of seems to be equivocating, I think they're hiding the truth from me. And a month passes with all the tests as they're watching my vision to see if it's going to get better. And finally, there is a collective diagnosis. They don't actually call me in and tell me the diagnosis, but they all agree on the diagnosis. And it's basically, Arianna, what you have is burnout, which has been called civilization's disease. Now, as I said, they didn't call me in and sat me down and said, Arianna, we're so sorry to tell you, you have civilization's disease. And there's really nothing to do about it. There are no prescriptions we can give you. You just have to figure it out yourself. So that's what I begin to do. I begin to try and figure it out myself, and I begin to read scientific findings, and I begin to realize that, I and millions of others have been living under this collective delusion that burnout is necessary to succeed. And I start sleeping more, and I take all my Blackberries and all my devices and move them outside my bedroom at night, and I do radical things like that. And then also, I feel as though I came out of rehab and everybody else is drunk. So I suddenly notice how tired everybody looks and how burnt out everybody is, and I become obnoxious. I basically go up to people and practically shake them from their lapels and say, get some sleep. You're burning out. You could collapse like I did, or something worse could happen to you. You could have a heart attack. And friends of mine start saying, shut up. I'll have a nap. Just shut up. And fortunately, I have a platform. And so we launch a sleep section, and people think we're crazy. And then I open 2 nap rooms at the Huffington Post, and the journalists look at me and roll their eyes and think, who's going to be seen walking into a nap room in the middle of the afternoon in New York City? Are you crazy? And now the 2 nap rooms are perpetually full. In fact, the other day I was walking by and I saw 2 people coming out of one of them. And I thought, whatever it takes to recharge, you just don't tell HR. And as I'm doing all that, I realize that I actually need a sponsor, like in a 12-step program. I need somebody that I can call when at night I'm tempted to binge watch House of Cards. And my sleep sponsors turn out to be Christina and Isabella, my 2 daughters. And they start keeping tabs on me. And if they catch me tweeting, say late at night, I get a direct message. Go to bed, Mom. Which is exactly what I used to say to them when they were 2 years old. How the tables have turned, and how deeply, profoundly grateful I am for that. Thank you.